for the very first time, in fulfillment of his promise, the Governor of Adamawa State, Right Honorable Ahmadu Umaru Fintiri, made heavy investment in the security sector to complement the security agents and agencies to tackle head-on the security challenges in Adamawa State. He provided 60 plucks trucks to all sectors and agencies regarding security. That aside, he also provided 10 desert trucks to the Nigerian Army, specifically to the Nigerian Army. There are other investments in terms of motorcycles, aside fueling all these vehicles on monthly basis. 600 vigilantes were employed after thorough background checkup, and they are all placed on a 45,000 naira stipend every month so far. He has taken the issue of security with all seriousness, and every segment of the society is involved in this setup. For the very first time, the Police Community Public Relations Committee were taken and given serious relevance and consideration for the role they played in every facet of the community, and from the state level to the local government level to the ward level, all committees of this arm of community policing was being inaugurated. We also have the Policing Advisory Committee at the state level that was inaugurated for the very first time, involving serious and critical stakeholders in the community and society. His Royal Highness, the Lamido of Adamawa, is the co-chair of this advisory council, aside the Commissioner of Police. And it involves people of note in the society, religious leaders, community leaders, intellectuals, all other associations of note, the Nigerian Bar Association, the Nigerian Medical Association, all the other critical sectors and arms of the society are being involved for the purpose of confidence building and making sure that intelligence gathering and cooperation is taken to a higher level so that our communities and the state at large will be made safe. Well, several issues are involved here. One, there is ignorance. Two, there is politics. Three, there is confusion. On the aspect of ignorance, an ignorant man is a victim of himself. His Excellency, Right Honorable Ahmadu Umaru Fintiri, made it abundantly clear that he is building the Adamawa State of tomorrow. And building infrastructure of tomorrow, particularly of this magnitude, comes with a lot of price. It is going to distract people, it is going to affect businesses, it is going to affect movements. It is the price that the people also must pay. And then fundamentally, the government itself, it is going to pay heavily to build this infrastructure of tomorrow, taking into cognizance the cost, and then perhaps when you weigh the other options. But we all know that eventually the benefit that will come from all of these difficulties is worth the pain. So, for those who are ignorant, definitely, the ignorant man, like I said, is even a victim of himself. On his own, he is lacking in capacity to know the importance of this and change, particularly where it is positive, where it is gigantic. A lot of people are afraid of change because change comes with a lot of other efforts. So most of those that are ignorant will definitely prefer to live as it were just this ordinary life. Where politics is involved, a lot of people before now, when His Excellency made a pronouncement that he is going to put this infrastructure, a flyover and great interchange for Adamawa State, the first of its kind in the Northeast, a lot of politically minded people thought it was never going to be possible. So when it is ultimately becoming a reality, they felt, why must we just sit down and allow this? So the others that are just confused, taking into cognizance the way and manner some people are saying things, they key in to belong, not because they have their own idea, but because they feel this one also said this one also said this, so let me also key in to say like they are saying. But if you sit down to assess the whole situation, you get to realize that these people that are saying we don't need this now because there is no enough gridlock in Yola to warrant our having a great interchange and flyover. I ask this question: do we have to wait until that moment comes to build the flyover? Why do you take your child to school as a toddler? Because maybe when he gets to 25 years or 30 years, he needs education. Why don't you wait until he is that 30 or 25 to take him to school? Development is not an event. Development is a process. It starts somewhere to get to somewhere. And it is not just like the story of creation. Let there be a flyover, and certainly there will be one. God, in His infinite mercy, He has given us an insight into the process of creation. When a woman will conceive, the baby will be in her womb for 9 months before she delivers. And the baby will take some time to even start sitting, to start crawling, to start walking, to become of use. And you must take the pain of giving that child a kind of a training to become either good or bad. So also development. And the governor of Adamawa State, taking into cognizance the fact that Adamawa State needs to catch up, needs to start preparing for tomorrow today. He has started on the day he set up in motion the construction with a groundbreaking ceremony. The governor was conscious of the fact that governance in a state like Adamawa State is a Herculean task. He was there before, even though for a moment he knows the turf very well. He is adequately prepared. spiritually, physically, politically, economically, and financially. Coming on board on the 29th day of May 2019, he hit the ground running. He had a focus. He has outlined what he intended to achieve, and he goes about achieving them with the clinical efficiency that is expected of a time-tested politician and administrator of his type. He has outlined areas he intends to achieve so many things remarkably. For example, in the area of infrastructure, the state of Adamawa is deficit in this area. There are lots of challenges. He took up that challenge. He explored options. Normally, infrastructure of this magnitude is capital intensive. And taking into cognizance the paucity of funds the state has encountered, even from the beginning, taking into cognizance the challenges at ground, he paid the counterpart funding for the Rural Access Mobility Program. It's a fund made available to states by way of an interventionist fund, which is a loan granted by the World Bank. The governor explored that, and to the glory of God, across the 21 local governments, by October this year, he is going to commission about 287 kilometer roads across the state. It is the first of its kind. It is the first time a government is making giant strides into rural access mobility since the era of Defeatist. If you can remember, even in his campaign moment, he was telling the people of Adamawa State that I will change the face of our cities. He has kept that promise with the groundbreaking ceremony of the start of construction activities for the flyover and the great interchange in Jamaica here. The work has commenced all over, and today Adamawa State has been reduced to a construction site. And this is part of the fulfillment of his campaign promises. That aside, we all know that we have a housing deficit in Adamawa State. He made an undertaking that he is going to change the narrative. People will be provided decent accommodation for families to live in. A lot of our workers are living in dilapidated buildings, substandard structures in the name of a house because there is a general deficit. This is not just common to Adamawa State, it is a nationwide issue. But thanks to his resolution to change the narrative despite the challenges, we have started the construction of 1,000 housing units for the people of Adamawa State. And the next phase, another 1,000 will be constructed, and this would also be shared amongst major local governments to alleviate the hardship suffered by the people as a result of rural-urban migration. This is a feat. When he came, the education system was in a mess. Students were just headed into school and there was no care, there was nothing. He said, as part of his agenda, to build the Adamawa of tomorrow, there is no way we will have a better tomorrow if our children are not given the best of education, are not prepared for the challenges of a greater tomorrow. He made investment in the educational sector more than we have ever seen in Adamawa State. First, wards that are in boarding schools are given food unlike before. Breakfast, lunch, and supper 3 times. That is not enough. He made a commitment to reconstruct, to build 5,000 classrooms across the state. That is in top gear now. So far, on ground, within 1 year, about 2,000 classrooms are on ground. So he will even surpass the 5,000 as envisaged and promised. Books were provided across the schools. Our students, most students had to abandon school at the time of completion because of the excessive charge, 1 of school fees, 2 of examination fees. He ensured that education in the strictest sense of it is free, devoid of tuition and other payments, save for PTA that is not within the control of government, but it is within the control of parents and teachers, and that is obtainable everywhere. He paid for about 24,000 students in Adamawa State in their final year to sit for WAEC and NECO, Senior School Examination Certificate. Now, government invested in the WAEC and NECO fees about 600 million naira.